When answering exam questions, there are a few key things to remember, right? So just remember, exam technique is a key part in preparation for any exams, and it's something that you'll pick up the more you go and you do past papers. Right, so many questions in exams are repeats of what will be in old exams. So going and looking at lots of generic questions beforehand is a good idea. When going and answering and questions and reading them, there's a few things just take into account. Make sure you go read the question at least twice so you don't make any mistakes when you're reading them. As you're reading them, go highlight key information. Don't make assumptions about what the question is asking. Make sure after you've answered it, you go check your work for daft errors that you might make. And if it involves going and answering something where there's some calculation, make sure that you write your workings out down. Right, let's go and have a look at the question.
So a Punnett square or a genetic diagram shows the chromosomes or alleles that may be combined to go and make zygotes. Right, remember a zygote is what we're going and we're calling a fertilized egg after it starts dividing. There are a few key things that we need to remember. So recessive alleles or recessive genes are always represented by lowercase letters. The dominant allele or the dominant gene is always represented by an uppercase letter. An allele is homozygous if it's just for one particular gene. So both genes are the same, we refer to that as homozygous. And if it's got two different genes, it would be referred to as heterozygous. So if we just very quickly go and have a look at this diagram, so you're always going to go and have the mother and the father's gametes being represented each time. If we now go and look at some questions that involve this. So in this one, so a man with Dupuytren's and a woman who does not have Dupuytren's, right, so that's going to be some sort of genetic disease. So the Dupuytren's man has the chromosomes big D, little d, so he's got one dominant gene, and the woman who does not have Dupuytren's has two recessive genes. So to start off with, we know that Dupuytren's must be caused by a recessive gene, dominant gene, because where there's two recessive genes, then the woman does not have it. So complete the genetic diagram in the figure to the side to show the possible gene combinations. So we've got big D there, so that would be big D, little d, little d, little d, and little d, little d. Right, so draw a ring around the genotype in the figure to show who would have Dupuytren's. So we can see that because the man has Dupuytren's, it's caused by a dominant gene. So wherever we've got one of those dominant genes, there's going to be that's genetic disease in the children. Right. In a second example, it talks about the shape of earlobes. So a man with 3 earlobes and a woman with attached earlobes have children together. Complete figure 2 to show their possible combinations. So same again, you just go in and just almost times in them out. So that would be big E from there, little e from there, then little e, little e, little e, little e. Right, it's also worth talking about, you could talk about what the ratio would be. So we've got a 1:1 ratio of 3 ears to attached ears. Remember, if you're going to do that as a percentage, it would be 50% to 50% because you've got half and half. Right, in this last example, so scientists investigated the inheritance of a height of pea plants. The scientists crossed tall pea plants and short pea plants. So the following symbols represent the alleles. So we've got the T, so big T for the dominant allele for tall plants, small t for the recessive allele. So we're completing this figure. So we can see there that they're both big T, little t, so they're both heterozygous, meaning that they both have two different alleles. So there we've got big T, you do big T, little t, big T, little t, and little t, little t. Right, so that is going to go and give us a 3:1 ratio of tall plants to short plants. Right, and that shows us that the gene for a short plant has to be recessive.
So hopefully you have found that useful. If you've got any questions, then drop it in the comments below, and we'll be uploading a lot more. Right, good luck, folks.